If you often find yourself too tired to make dinner at the end of the day, I hear you. Work, exercise, raising kids, the whole thing. It's a lot. I don't even know how people do it, to be honest. But I'm here to tell you that there is a solution, and it doesn't involve ordering takeout. Not this time. Today I want to talk all about one-pot cooking and how it can be such a lifesaver on those busy nights, and really any night. At the end of the day, you can have a really delicious dinner, use only one pot, and you can usually use ingredients that you have on hand already. I'm going to talk about some of the main things to consider when you're making your one-pot meals. And I'm also going to make one right now because it is 6:28, it's a Thursday. I have a few things that I've scrounged up. I don't have a recipe, I'm just going to wing it because that's the way I roll on weeknights and pretty much every night, unless it's a very special occasion. And I'm going to crack some red wine because because why not? If we haven't met before, my name's Paula. I'm a former professional cook turned work from home office gal, and I really enjoy making cooking videos and talking about cooking and sharing it all on howtomakedinner.com and right here on this channel. Cheers. Let's get into it. When thinking about one-pot cooking, I sort of like to think about a few major kind of categories. Number one is the vessel. So I'm using a wide stainless steel skillet that has a really well-fitting lid. This is to trap all the steam in. You can definitely do one-pot cooking in something like a Dutch oven. You can use an Instant Pot. You can even use a rice cooker, even a sheet pan or an air fryer. As long as you're cooking everything together in one vessel, I would qualify that as one-pot cooking. Most of the time when I'm doing like a pasta thing or a ricey thing, I like to use this big, wide stainless steel skillet. I just feel like it has the right amount of surface area and the right amount of depth for me to just cook everything. And this is perfect for, we're 2 to 3 people in this house, but it definitely cooks enough for 4, so we can have leftovers too, which is perfect. On to the sequence of things. Generally speaking, you want to add things to the pan or the pot in the order that it takes to cook. So the things that take the longest go in first. The things that are quick, like, a tender green bean or a piece of broccoli, that's gonna go in later. When I'm using a pot like this, if I'm using a protein, like a meat, I'll do the meat first because that I generally like to brown. And then I will sometimes remove that. And then I'll cook all the aromatics, the hearty vegetables, add the rice or pasta, the liquid, and then add the meat back in and cook it all together, depending on the meat. So if it's like something like prawns that only take 3 minutes, I'll add those at the very end. Usually when it's ground meat, I'll just leave it in the whole time. If it's something like, pieces of chicken, I'll probably take those out and finish them cooking for like the last 10 minutes, just so that they don't overcook. When I'm doing sheet pans, I tend to just choose ingredients that take around the same amount of time to cook. Things like potatoes and chicken thighs, carrots, cut them all reasonably close in size, toss them all in the marinade or whatever it is, and then roast it all together. If I wanted to add something that had a quick cooking time, like some green peas or something at the end, I would just add those close to the end. Flavor profiles. So you can take one-pot cooking in any direction you want. It really just depends on what ingredients you're using, what spices and herbs you want to use. If you wanted to make something that has like a souvlaki-ish vibe, you could go with oregano, lemon, lots of garlic, that kind of thing. If you want to go with something a little bit more Middle Eastern, you could use za'atar, sumac, olive oil, fresh parsley at the end. You're really only limited by your own whim and your own creativity, so it's a fun way to kind of play around. For the core ingredients, I tend to just go into my kitchen and look around, and I like to find one starch, rice, brown rice, pasta, something to kind of bulk it all out, one protein, anything from chicken thighs to ground meat to tofu to prawns, shrimp, canned beans, one sort of like aromatic vegetable or 2, like an onion and a celery or an onion and a carrot, and then 1 or 2 kind of tender vegetables like broccoli or cabbage or frozen peas, frozen corn, that kind of thing. Liquid-wise, it can be anything from a can of tomatoes, chicken stock, coconut milk, a combination of those. It can also just be water, and especially if you season it well. You can use a stock cube to kind of amp things up. Really anything's possible. I feel like this is not a very good framework. I'm basically telling you to do whatever you want, which is kind of what I'm saying. Okay, so let's just make one. Should we just make one? I'm just gonna make one. I have my pot here and I did some scrounging. I got an onion because I always have an onion. I have some cabbage. So this is a pretty old cabbage. It's not looking great, but the great thing about cabbage is that once you peel off the outer edges and cut off the kind of like gross part, dried out part, it's still gonna be fine. I have a can of tomatoes, which I always have because I order a 6-pack of these from Costco. I have a pretty gnarly looking zucchini that definitely needs to be used or thrown out. I'd prefer to use it. And I have some ground turkey that I bought a few days ago, not having a plan for it. I just picked it up, it was on sale. I have some coconut milk, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna use. These are just things I pulled out. We might deviate from this, you know, we'll see how it goes. But I've got coconut milk and I have this store-bought gnocchi, which is great because it's supposed to cook in 2 minutes. So I think this is gonna be a really perfect one-pot ingredient. So I think we'll just start there. I'm just gonna use a small amount of oil, really not much, like a teaspoon. I'm actually gonna start with the turkey. So if this was like ground beef or something, I would absolutely start with it because sometimes ground beef needs to be drained, or ground pork or anything that is sometimes on the fatty side. This is ground turkey breast, so there's no way it's gonna need to be drained, but I might still try and get a little bit of browning on it. So I'm gonna add it in first. And if you can see fruit flies flying around, it's because I've got some apples that are just a fruit fly factory over there. So I'll let this come up a little bit. I do want to get browning on this. So while I'm waiting for the pan, I'll just chop my onion. A really good trick for when you're wanting to get browning on meat is to just spread it out as quickly as you can once it hits the pan. Not too hot. So I'll sort of like press it with the back of my spoon. I know most people would just start mashing and breaking it up right away, but if you spread it out like this, you're maximizing the surface area that comes in contact with the pan. So you might get a bit more browning that way. I'm gonna season this right away with some salt, just to kind of give everything a good start. And I'm starting with a teaspoon. I would probably never use less than that. So a teaspoon is sort of my starting point for almost everything I make, to be honest, unless it's like a huge batch of something. Ooh, I'm gonna pull out one of my garlic balls from the freezer. I talked about these garlic balls a few videos ago. I just buy a big bag of peeled garlic, blend it all up in my food processor, and then scoop it with a little portion scoop. And I tell you, this is my favorite hack. Is it a hack? Because it means that I always have massive amounts of garlic. It makes all my food taste so much better. Like, this is a lot. You could do a smaller one or you could cut them in half, but to me, this is the right amount of garlic for just about everything. I've been working through the same bag of garlic balls for like, I don't know, a couple months now. No chopping required. It's great. Okay, so you can see that it's starting to get some browning. It's like a big patty. So you can see that, right? You just don't really get that if you're constantly moving things around. And because this is lean, super lean chicken thigh, or turkey, what is it? Turkey breast? It's so lean. So I do want to get a bit of browning just to get as much flavor into the dinner as possible. Now that I've got some browning, I'm just going to break it up normally. So now that we have some good browning, the turkey's broken up, I'm just going to dump the onion in and start to let it sweat. And then the onion is going to help to deglaze the pan because of the moisture in the onion. So that's going to lift up the brown bits and make sure that that flavor gets into our one pot meal. And then I might as well throw the garlic in now too. It's fine. I'm a little worried about burning garlic, but because there's so much other stuff in there, it's not going to be a problem. And we'll just let that soften. I'll chop up the zucchini. I think that'll go in next. The zucchini is like a tender green vegetable, but I'm not really worried about having it be like stay fresh and green. Like, it's fine. It's very bruised and banged up, but it's gonna taste fine. And actually, I'm gonna add the cabbage and the zucchini one after another. Both are like hearty enough to hold up to some cooking. If I wanted like a really, really brown flavor, I would caramelize the onions, or at least let them get a bit of color on them, but I'm just not concerned about that. I just want to soften them, make them a little bit, translucent. If you want to be really efficient, you can get one of these bad boys. It's great for transferring chopped ingredients. Now, I haven't really thought much about how I want to flavor this up. Like, what direction do I want this to go in? So I've got my tomatoes and I've got coconut milk. And at this point, honestly, it could go anywhere. I'm making the rules here. I'm calling the shots. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I think the coconut milk is not gonna make it in tonight, but what is gonna make it in is my spice mix. So I did a video a while back about spice mixes and how great it is to have sort of like a house spice mix. It's repetitive, but if you get a spice mix that you like, then it's so delicious. So what's the problem? And on weeknights, you don't want to do any thinking. You just want to add stuff to your food that makes it taste good. And that's what I have here. It's just a mixture of salt, paprika, summer savory, cumin, and garlic powder. It's going to be delicious. So it's really good to add spices at this stage when it can still have some contact with the pan before the liquids go in. So that's why I did that now. That's another part of the sequencing. I actually don't know if I want the cabbage, to be honest. I feel like the zucchini and the onion is enough. Maybe I'll add a little bit just to say I did. It's in such rough shape. So, but I peeled off the outer layers. I'm gonna slice this whole section off and slice off the bottom. And now it looks perfect, right? The onion, as juicy as it was, didn't like fully deglaze the pan. So let's just add a splash of red wine. It's gonna keep getting juicier once the zucchini and the cabbage start to cook down more. Oh, it smells so good. Cooking with wine is so nice. Okay, the wine's cooked down a bit. I'm gonna go in with the gnocchi, and I'm gonna use this whole packet. And it only takes 2 minutes to cook, so we'll see how much liquid I need to add. But I do kind of want to break it up on its way in. Now I'm gonna add the tomatoes, which I still need to blend, or at least chop. Actually, I don't want to blend it, I want to squeeze them. I just decided I'd rather squish them because I want that texture. Instead of a silky smooth, uniform texture, I want more of like a chunky tomato texture. And I'm really happy I'm not wearing a white t-shirt right now. I wonder if this is gonna be any good. The thing is, it might be great. It might be an absolute winner, and I might, make it again and again. Or it might suck, and then I'll never make it again. But it's not a huge issue, It's not too much riding on it. It's like one night of dinner. Big whoop. I just filled the can about half full with water, just to kind of juice this up a little bit. There's still some in the can too. And we'll see how much this gnocchi absorbs. I don't really know how much it's going to absorb, but it's always easier to add more liquid than it is to take it away once it's in there. And we're going to let this simmer away for it said 2 minutes, but it's going to be longer than that because it's not like rapidly boiling as if it was in a pot full of boiling water. It's partially boiling and the tomatoes are still warming up. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna cover this now and let this cook for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. It's already boiling. I'll turn it down a bit. Generally, after you add the starch, it's good to turn the heat down quite a bit, usually to medium low. That means it's not gonna cook as fast as it says on the box, but it is gonna help prevent boilovers. Because when you're doing like one pot pasta, you cannot be boiling it the whole time. It's all this starchy water and it gets everywhere. So you really want to think more, it's more of a simmering than it is a boiling. So I'm gonna check in on this in like 4 or 5 minutes and see how we're doing. All right, it's been simmering for a couple of minutes. I'm just gonna give it a little taste because now would be a really good time to adjust the seasoning if it is needed. Now that everything's cooked, but there's still some liquid to be absorbed. Ooh, I'm liking this. So we added the salt in the beginning. We added the dinner dust, which has salt in it. It's actually pretty close. I don't think I want to add any more salt. I'm just gonna let it cook for a bit longer. Ooh, so the gnocchi's nice and soft now. I can feel the softness as I move them around. Still a bit on the soupy side, but I actually think that as it sits for a few minutes, it's gonna absorb a lot. Even though it's on the soupy side, it's kind of like a gnocchi vegetable turkey stew. I'm okay with that. I actually found some little bocconcini in my fridge. I had this left over from I guess it was open. I had it left over from a pizza night a while back. So I'm just gonna rip these up on top and let it kind of melt in and on the gnocchi. My family's not even home yet. They're gonna be home in a bit. So I'm just gonna let this sit and keep absorbing for the next however long it takes for them to get home. And then we're gonna just serve it in the exact same dish. No fancy plating, we're just gonna eat it right out of this skillet. So, what do we think? Just gonna cover it up, the heat's off. And that's pretty much all there is to it. This turkey gnocchi thing turned out so nicely. I'm probably not gonna write down a recipe for it, but I'll probably make some version of it again, you know, with a few tweaks because I always like to mix things up. But it came out really well and everybody loved it.
That is so good.
It is?
It's so good. Wait. I need like a bit of everything. Oh my god.
So good. And so it just goes to show that you don't really need to think in advance. You don't really need to pre-plan all the time. And it'll probably be okay. And if it's not okay, it'll be better next time. And you'll keep getting better as you do this more and more often. Thanks for joining me to make my dinner. Really appreciate the company. And if you're a fan of no recipe cooking, watch this video next because I break down a few of my very favorite memorizable recipes that you can always keep locked in your mind so you never have to look at a recipe for those things again. Let me know if you want to see more of these sort of off-the-cuff videos. They are definitely more in line with how I cook every day and how I really enjoy cooking. I love a little creative cooking project at the end of the day, especially when it doesn't require doing many dishes. And when I get to eat it at the end, it's always great. So let me know if you want to see more of that. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you next time.